Hi, I'm Simon Canton, and this is the third part of my series exploring my process of writing a novel. In the last episode I went over what the first hard vacuum book was about, and my initial thoughts on the second book. I said that I'd have to do a lot of world building before I could continue, so that's what I've been doing for the last 2 days. I've been expanding different aspects of the world, and also rereading the first book for the rules of the world. Without further ado, here's the document. Okay, so in the last video I went over the Hard Vacuum 2 world building document, and in the meantime I've been rereading Hard Vacuum 1 so I can get all the different facts that are even mentioned as a cursory mention in the first book and fill them in as facts in my world building document so I don't forget them, along with filling in lots of other things that I think might be useful when I come to write Hard Vacuum 2. So the first thing I'll go to is Balthazar's character page. So if you remember from the first time I went over this document, there was only one line that said head of the terrorists. So I filled in a kind of small life history of Balthazar. So now this is all stuff that I didn't know. I've just gone in and made stuff up, just written it out as I came up with it. So that's kind of my process of world building. Unless there's some reason why someone needs to have something, I'll just go in and make something random up. So for instance, he started his own IT company that were making ReadyNet applications. ReadyNet is a neural implant that talks to your brain, so it can put like different things into your vision, things like that. He sold that company for billions and started a new company dealing in space exploration. Which might sound familiar if you know Elon Musk. So that's a kind of loose association there. I don't think Elon Musk goes around killing people. So space exploration is pretty much a dud by the time he opens his space exploration company, but he creates the first ever space elevator, which is capable of carrying loads of up to 10 tons into space, and then suddenly space is viable again because you can get things up there. So he's now a billionaire by the time this book starts. So if I go on further, so for instance, clip cars. Clip cars are tiny little one-person cars that can clip together. They're actually mentioned in Shiny New Swindle, one of my other books. Shiny New Swindle is set in 2065 and this is set in 2095, and Green Star actually mentions clip cars as well. Green Star is a series of books I'm writing with Dave Higgins. So clip cars have been around for a long time, so they would also exist in Kyra's world if it's the same universe, and that's kind of my intention, is to make it loosely the same universe. So there's other things that I've carried over from Shiny New Swindle, like drones and things like that. Flak rifles were mentioned in the first book, so I've then gone and got a piece of clip art. Since I'm showing this on a video, I needed to license it, but you don't need to license it. Just if you're using it for just your own personal Scrivener file, just go and Google an image of whatever you need and put the image into your document. As long as you don't show it to anyone, then it should be fine. Flak rifles from the first book, they fire a projectile that when it hits a surface it explodes into tiny pieces of flak, which then rain out all over the surrounding area. So it's basically a weapon for when you don't care about collateral damage. So so that's a Weaver Corp invention. So this rifle came in a pack with another gun over here, which then inspired me to call that an IntelliPistol, which is then Balthazar Kemke's weapon. So an IntelliPistol, then from that name I thought, well, it should have some kind of intelligence. So if you point the pistol at anything or anyone, the bullet will arc to hit them if it's possible. The corporations, I didn't have a logo for Weaver Corp before, so I went and found a logo on Vector Stock, I think, or might have been Shutterstock. So I made just a very simple logo. I just thought it adds to the world building, I think, if I've got images. It's much easier, for instance, to picture Balthazar Kemke if I have a picture of him. And I know other authors choose famous actors and things like that. I just choose people who I can kind of put my own personality onto them. If I chose an actor, then I can't, like, I'll always have something in the back of my mind forcing some kind of personality on them. It's much easier just to pick someone I don't know. So that was Weaver Corp. And then Solidarity, I made a little logo for that. That's Balthazar Kemke's military contractor company. So Weaver Corp has been exclusively fighting the Xeno Migrants, which are over here. And Solidarity, Balthazar Kemke wants to fight them instead. So he's got multiple motives for different things. Obviously, he wants his company to fight them. He gets more money out of that. But he also believes that Weaver Corp is leading humanity to disaster. If I go back to accidentally moving things around, Xeno Migrants, they're actually tardigrades really, but just much bigger. There's lots of stuff here that I don't think is supported by the laws of physics or biology, but just make for a nice and interesting story, I think. So they're a bug that can survive in space. Tardigrades are a real bug that can survive in space, that we have on Earth. So I've just blown them up to the size of grizzly bears, and then said that they can survive indefinitely in deep space. So the Xeno Migrants that reach the Kuiper Belt, which is asteroid belt on the limits of our solar system, have been traveling for 2.3 billion years in hibernation. That probably isn't realistic, but you know, it's an action book. So that's my world building document. So you can see I fill in lots of different bits of clip art, or I draw something myself if I can't find a bit of clip art. For instance, I've taken a world map and I've changed all the borders around and things like that for what the world will look like in 2095, which is not necessarily likely. It's just you know, it gives me some framework to work around if I want to talk about. Like I'm talking about, Balthazar will be up in Svalbard, which is up here. That Svalbard is an island owned by Norway that's very far north, and it's got polar bears on it and stuff like that. I just thought it'd be interesting as a base for Balthazar. So that's in the NCP. Whereas Kyra actually comes from India. Well, she's genetically engineered, but she's a genetically engineered Indian person. So she's down here, and I'm saying that they're a close ally of the RCC, but not necessarily in the RCC. So there's, you know, different things to just come up with. You come up with all kinds of different things if you just start building a world document like this and putting in images and then imagining what kind of things. So for instance, clip cars, how they could work. Just by coming up with the concept and drawing something, you can then come up with ideas of how they might work. So that's my world building document. This will be expanded quite a lot in the future as I write the book. But this is just a kind of basis for me to start with. I haven't completed the world building by any means. I've only set up a skeleton because I want to leave myself room to change the rules if I have to. In the next episode, I'll start creating a plot by using a method known as snowflaking. Thanks for watching.